Welcome to Giant Monster News, presented by Giant Monster Media. Wow, that's kind of a mouthful. Gonna need to work on that. As always, I'm your host, Jarruda. Why am I going by that ridiculous name? Well, because if I were a giant monster, that'd be my monster name. And little kids would wave and call out to me, Jarruda! Wait, what? We'll start with a channel update. First of all, up to 10 subscribers. Wow. Thank you so much. Especially early on in this channel's existence. It does mean a lot to have any subscribers at all. So yes, it's sort of jokingly like, oh, whoop-de-doo, wee, 10 subscribers. But thank you to the 10 people out there who are apparently watching this shit. So thank you. As we go forward, I do hope to get a video out at least once a week. Hopefully more going forward. Right now, I'm editing essentially a feature, so it's taking up a lot of time at the moment. So when that's done, I'm hoping to be done in the next month with that. When that's done, that should, in theory, mean more time for more content. And I do have more content on the way. I hope to get a new trailer out soon, and I have a great video essay I've been meaning to make for a while on Terror of Mechagodzilla. So we got some good stuff on the way. Hold tight. Thank you again to those 10 subscribers, and anybody else watching, thank you very much. It means a lot. All right, let's get to the news stories. So first bit of news from this week, the Godzilla vs. Kong toy line, some details came out on that. Number one was the image on the box. A lot of people have been breaking this down, but you know, I want to weigh in on this a little bit. It was featured on an IGN article by Matt Fowler, who credits Kaiju News Outlet on Twitter as the source who's been previewing the toys. The image, quote, shows the two Titan Terrors battling near or atop an aircraft carrier. Well, it's definitely atop. You can clearly see by the image. This has been a source of controversy since the very beginning, during that Warner Brothers panel or convention, which showed that brief clip from the film, the only clip that we have. Everyone's gone nuts over this, and so, my turn. It clearly doesn't make sense at all. The weight of one, let alone both of those monsters, would cause structural damage and would cause the ship to sink. Okay, no question. And this isn't anything new. This is what everyone's basically been saying. I would say, though, this is probably the most unrealistic Godzilla marketing since Godzilla vs. Megalon fighting on top of the Twin Towers. Come to think of it, that was because of King Kong's release in 1976. Godzilla and Megalon were referencing Kong. So, wait a minute. Could it be that Adam Wingard is dropping a massive Easter egg and no one's talking about this? Could we possibly see Megalon in this movie? Thinking more on this, Jet Jaguar is said to be a robotic King Kong in the German release of the film. So, could Kong turn into Jet Jaguar in this film? Alright, all joking aside, I do like the monsters fighting during the day, like it is in the image. And I'm hoping that this is either an actual still or at least reminiscent of how the film will look. But judging from the original footage, it looks like there's going to be a giant-ass cloud just sitting over this aircraft carrier, so we probably will have more particle effects and everything all blocking the screen. But again, I think the daytime look looks good, and it fits the blue and orange color scheme. About the toys themselves, MovieWeb.com had some details and images. The toys are released by Playmates. Playmates. Where have I heard that before? Playmates. Playmates? Oh no!
We've got to get out of here now. Damn!
Hurry! What about the
Never
cardboard?
mind it. Hurry! Hurry!
Thankfully, I will say these new toys don't look as bad as those ones. For reference, the toys from King of the Monsters were from Jakks Pacific, so I guess instead of just going with the same toys as that movie, we're going to Playmates. One thing I do like is that unlike the King of the Monsters toys, which revealed Burning Godzilla, there aren't really any big spoilers here. And obviously we don't have the entire toy line. We only have a couple of King Kong figures. But one sees Kong with a wounded arm. Wounds are to be expected when fighting Godzilla. We also see Kong with an axe, which, now, it's cool looking, but gimmicky. And I hope they don't get too stupid with this stuff in the movie. Like, I don't know, if we were to see Godzilla and Kong start sword fighting with building antennas or something, like, that would just be stupid. And I think Kong wielding an axe is, it's iffy. I mean, like, monsters can use things as weapons. Yes, Kong used a tree as a weapon in the original, but that was just to use, like, any object at all to shove in Godzilla's mouth. I mean, would Kong really be able to make an axe? So this has my stupid radar going off a little bit. I'm also not a big fan of the look. I don't know. I mean, the flexibility looks good. There's a lot of, joints, which is nice. That's another thing about the Jack-specific ones from King of the Monsters. I thought that they didn't do very much. You couldn't do much with them. I was like, all right, here's this stiff Godzilla figure. Like, all right. I'm keeping that in the box. But with these new ones, they just look so obviously like a toy. I feel like the more you can sort of hide the toy-like elements, the better. And I'm talking about, like, the bolts and the screws and the joints. Like what's up with those bolts in Kong's shoulders? I mean, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. And they could have tried to hide those a little better. But, again, it's not as bad as the previous Godzilla line. Ugh. Following up from last time on Jurassic World Dominion, there was a report from IGN by Adele Ankers that the film is going to use more animatronics. There was a long quote from the film's director, Colin Trevorrow. He says, "We've actually gone more practical with every Jurassic movie we've made since the first one, and we've made more animatronics in this one than we have in the previous two." He goes on to say that digital extensions on animatronics will be able to match the texture and level of fidelity on film an animatronic is going to be able to bring. And you didn't used to be able to really mix them. You could really see the seams. And so that part of it is very exciting for me. So I think this is great. I think practical effects achieve a sense of realism that CGI can't get you. And I think mixing the two absolutely is the way to go. Each can complement the other. And, I think with how well animatronics look, and particularly how well they move nowadays, I mean, I saw some of the ones from Disney World. There was one that was like an avatar, like a Na'vi woman, and I was like, that's insane. I wouldn't be surprised if animatronics kind of make a bit of a comeback in big budget special effects in the next 10 years, especially with combining them with CG. So this could be a huge leap there. Trevorrow also said that he was taking things back to the basics with, quote, really simple puppetry. That's right, and as Godzilla fans, we know using simple puppets can make your monsters look scarier than ever. Ugh. He appears in my nightmares. Lastly, I did want to touch on two older pieces of news. So it's not quite news, but I did want to give my thoughts on, number one, Shin Ultraman. The production is in pre-production currently. If you don't know, it's the film directed by Shinji Higuchi and written by Hideki Anno. It's the same team that was behind Shin Godzilla, set to release in 2021. Ultraman is going to be entirely CGI for the very first time. So, to me, it's a little bit of a concern because CGI in Japanese kaiju films, it's either not quite there yet or it's done stylistically, and to me, I don't like the way they do it. Like Shin Godzilla, for example, was all CG. And it looked good, like the texture looked very good, but it moved poorly. And they he either didn't move much at all, or when he did, he just kind of jerked around, and it just didn't look natural. And, with Higuchi coming from the Gamera Hazy trilogy, the effects in that trilogy with all the miniatures and suit acting were so good, I'm surprised they're not using a suit, especially with someone like Ultraman. I'm hoping that Ultraman at least moves better. I mean, I'm guessing they're going to use motion capture. For more on that article, you can check out the description. There is a little bit more information, but mostly just about sort of the inspirations for Ultraman's looks. Nothing I really wanted to touch on too much, but if you're interested in that, the article is in the description below, so feel free to check that out. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about the Gamera Complete collection on Blu Ray, which is coming from Arrow Films, is the company distributing it. They have a trailer. That's in the link. That's in the description below. Check it out. It's pretty rad. Now, this thing's coming in at about $115, but it's 8 discs, It's got all of the Gamera films, classic series up through Gamera Super Monster. It's got the Hazy trilogy, and it has the one-off Gamera the Brave from 2006. Each film's remastered in HD and 1080p, so there's no talk of anything 4K. I didn't see anything about 4K versions of the films in the set or a 4K version of the set, but I don't know, with Japanese monster movies, sometimes going up in quality is actually detracts because you can see all the strings and stuff. But I think quality-wise, I mean, 1080p is going to look good either way, so that's good. Each film has Japanese and English language tracks with optional English subtitles, and it includes the original American International dubs. So I assume, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I assume they mean AIP, American International Pictures, which did a lot of old Japanese monster movies. And for at least the Godzilla movies, you know, some of those older dubs have become relics of the past. They're only on some of the old VHS tapes. So, and these were some of the ones that were shown on TV, like in the 1970s. So I think for the Gamera collection to include them, I mean, unless they're the only dubs that exist, I don't quite know. I need to do more research on this topic. But if it is like the Godzilla franchise, where there's multiple dubs, you have the international ones, and then you have your, like, American distributor ones, then it's big that they're including those. Certain films will have multiple cuts and versions which you can watch, but even with all of these features aside, let me tell you, this thing is packed with bonus material. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the real sell. Every single film has commentaries from experts like Steve Reifel, Ed Gachowski. I don't know. How do you pronounce that name? I never know. Keith Eichen, Bob Johnson, you name it. Many, many others as well. There's a 3-part documentary on the Hazy trilogy. There's introductions to some of the films with interviews and lots more. As someone who's more of a Godzilla guy than a Gamera guy, how do I describe my reaction to seeing all of this?
I think it moved.
Move?
It may have moved, I don't know.
I'm sure it didn't move.
It moved! It was imperceptible, but I felt it.
Yeah. Let me just say one thing. This makes the Godzilla Criterion Collection look bad. Like, really bad. And Gamera, especially since the 90s, has had a way of just taking what Godzilla does and then just, like, doing it so much better. You know? I mean, again, except for the classics, but on the rest of it, I will tip my cap to this franchise. The Criterion Godzilla Collection was great for a couple of reasons, but at the end of the day, many of the films left a lot to be desired, and the set as a whole left a lot to be desired, especially when it came to features. There were only 2 commentaries, both were on the original film, and 1 disc of special features, which, you know, they were okay, but nothing to go crazy over. And with exception to a few, there was only 1 version of each film to watch. This gives you so many options. So I think purely based on the features, this is a purchase, at least for me. And I mean, it's well worth it. It's only just over $100. And best of all, we can get our monster claws on this in just under a month, as this thing drops on August 17th. Links are in the description below for all of these details, as well as where to pre-order it if you're interested. That does it for me. Thank you for sticking around. Let me know your thoughts on the Gamera set in the comments. Tell me how you feel about Kong using a friggin' axe, or you maybe just blame me and tell me how awful my takes are. I will leave it to you. And as always, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share. It would mean so much to me, especially early on with this channel as I'm trying to, help it grow and all that. That would just mean so much. But hope everybody is staying safe, stay healthy, and for Giant Monster News, this is Jarruda signing off.